Hello once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's Billy from Disposable here, back with episode 3 of our monstrously, incredibly exciting and interesting recap of our entire discography. I'm here on Zoom with the boys, and we're digging into 2014's At the Foot of the World, our first debut album, the one that we just call The Album. If you ever hear us saying The Album, it means this album, not Suffocator. We've always just called this The Album, because this is The Album. If you haven't checked out the previous videos, we've already done the 2009 demo, which is really interestingly bad, and the 2011 EP, which is really interestingly very good, and you should check out those two videos. But nonetheless, we're here with the boys for 2014's At the Foot of the World. We're not doing the whole thing today. We're just doing the first 4 tracks. So boys, hello.
Hi.
Happening.
How are we doing? Are you excited to dig into At the Foot of the World today? The album?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
why
you
not?
dig the album?
I dig the album big time. I'm more excited for the second half of the album though. Although we've already done that. I'm quite keen for this.
You are all about the second half of this album, aren't you, compared to the first half? See, I'm much more a fan of the first half of the album, I think.
To be fair, thinking about it, the first half's gnarly as fuck. And
I would
yeah.
say I'm more.
we got two.
Sorry, I would say I'm more partial to the first half than the second, personally. But
I'm having a double check at what songs are actually in the second half, so I can.
It's got, the 2 singles in the first half as well, and they're arguably some of the longest standing.
Well, the 4
tunes.
tracks we're doing today are Existence, Addiction, Void, and Into the Water.
To be fair, they're all good boys.
You know, so possibly my 4 faves. Maybe not, but, you know. I certainly think we put these ones on the first half for a reason.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
As far as the writing for At the Foot of the World goes, I can't actually remember too much of it. A lot of guitar proing, that's for sure. Existence came along.
It was back when I had my.
Sorry, what?
Just saying, that's back when I had my Leith flat. There was a lot of sessions where you and Andy would come down to the Leith flat.
Yes, yeah.
Just sit on Guitar Pro for ages.
Yeah, I remember that. The glory days. Is that the flat where we put your bed in the cupboard?
Spider-Man was
Yeah.
in that fucker. Yeah, that was.
That was the flat where Andy slipped outside. Do you remember that? When he was hardcore dancing on the grass.
Oh yeah, in the back garden. That was fucking amazing.
Honestly, the best moment of my
yeah.
life, man. I can still see it so perfectly. Oh, I feel so bad for anyone that was not there that day.
It's because he was being an arse. He was being and fucking starting on cunts and being a dick, and then he started hardcore dancing and just
It was unreal, man.
his legs just went out from under him and his dreads went flying and he just landed on his arse and rolled over backwards.
So,
yeah,
Existence, the first track that we're about to listen to, it came out in 2013 originally with the video. We've decided not to listen to the 2013 version. So that's just the way it is. We're going to dig straight into Existence. I don't actually remember much about writing Existence. As far as I can remember, it came to be pretty quick, and I think it was one of the first of the new songs. You know, obviously all the songs.
yeah, I think it was the very
all the
first.
songs on the 2011 EP are on the album as well, and I think this was the first one that I wrote out of the new ones.
Yeah.
I think Existence was one of those ones where it was just, a guitar profile appeared one day, and it was called Poop Deck.
It was called Poop Deck. Yeah, I remember that.
All right, here's this pretty much finished song, and I don't think it really. Oh, I actually did find a demo version of it with a completely different ending.
There is a version that is different for sure.
I don't think I've ever heard this.
It was the same right up to the solo. Oh, I'll try and find it for you. But it's basically just the same up to the solo, and then it's got one of those outros. So it's just a couple of riffs, and then it stops. It didn't come back to the chorus or anything. or the verse even.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's only really 4 new songs on this album. You know, it's because now it ends from the 2009 demos on there, and all 3 tracks from the 2011 EP are on there. So the only tracks that were written specifically for this album was Existence, Void, Into the Water, and At the Foot of the World.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think after Existence, then it was Into the Water was the next one. And that was a bit more, I kind of remember writing that a bit more. I wrote the middle riff for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just had like a Guitar Pro file that looped and looped and looped, because that was the time when you were always like, Jack, send me your riffs. And I'd be like, yeah, totally. And then never ever send you any riffs. And then eventually you were like, right, where's all these riffs you're going on about? So I quickly made a riff on Guitar Pro and looped it a whole bunch of times and sent it to you. And then a couple of weeks later, like, you sent back Into the Water, and it wasn't just the same bit repeating. It was like,
I remember that was like your intro.
Yeah, but I just had it going for a whole bunch of time, and then it went just over and over and over again.
I remember digging the riff, but just being like, this needs to build up into this riff.
Yeah, and then, well, I remember actually I was listening to one of the podcasts recently where you were talking about writing Into the Water, and it was like one of the first times that you didn't just tan in it your custom 200 BPM Guitar Pro file.
Yeah, well, Into the Water.
And you couldn't find the medium between, like, you wanted the intro to be slow enough to have impact, because at first it was like, and then when you managed to slow it down and the riff came in, you were like totally gutted that it wasn't like. But I feel like it's one of the better paced songs on this album. Like, most of them are around the same.
I think every track on this album is 200 BPM apart from Into the Water.
Are they not 199?
There may be 199 for personal reasons.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, if there's only 4 new tracks on this album, theoretically we could have decided to release that as an EP. So if we had an EP that was Existence, Void, Into the Water, and At the Foot of the World, I reckon that would have been pretty cool. I think that would have been a pretty solid EP.
Maybe you could have afforded to get it mixed a little bit better.
Exactly, yeah, definitely. Definitely true. We'll talk a bit more about the mix afterwards. I don't hate it, but it's certainly quite muddy. And interestingly, we just rediscovered all the recording files from this that have been tucked away in the deepest, darkest crevice of my hard drive for 6 years now, and I honestly did not know they were there. So we've reopened them, and we're considering a remix and re-release with new mix if it goes well and if we can be bothered. But anyway, we found the recording files, and we're going to try and do some work on them. And when I say we, I mean all of them.
Aye.
We're going to probably poke a stick at him and tell him what to do.
I mean, that's kind of all I've been doing as of today and yesterday, is just going through the drums really for Existence, which is what we're just about to listen to. So it's weird. Yeah. It's weird for me listening to this mix after a day and a half's worth straight of listening to dry multi-track stems and whatever the fuck I'm going to try and do with it.
But I think the interesting thing about rediscovering the original recording files is that they actually sound great, and the performances are really good, and the vocals sound great, and it sounds really savage. So I think the potential for a really, really good mix of this album is pretty high. I don't know. I don't know. I think we were just very uneducated and oblivious to what a really good mix was back in 2014. And also, as I said in the last episode, we had to pay for 9 tracks to get mix as opposed to just 3 or whatever. And for us at the time, it was a big financial ask to. So we went for a cheaper option.
I think partly as well, we were just mega excited to get everything out, and we, it was like, it's recorded. Was this when the album, when we were recording at Sound, and we like stayed in a tent outside the studio for a night?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we didn't realise,
That
We
was
were like, it's a fucking pure effort to get up to, like, it's right next to the airport. So we were like, oh, we'll just pitch a tent in the back garden of the wee studio. And then we were up till, like, I don't know, 5 in the morning. This is just me, Billy, and Andy. Because we went and hung out in the airport to pass the time. And we played, like, some card game.
we played Shithead.
Until the recordings...
Shithead's the only card game.
Yeah, it is. the
There
only
are
card
no
game.
other card games.
Yeah. And then eventually, like, it was like 5 in the morning or something. We were bored as fuck, and we were like, right, he's not getting into the studio till 9. And then Andy realised that his dad was, like, away or something, and he had a free house. We were like, what the fuck are we doing in the back garden of this fucking studio in a tent? And we just got in the car.
Got a free house 10 minutes down the road with 5 beds in it. We're lying there in a tent freezing our fucking balls off.
I can mind that though. Just like, I went home and like, you were all like, "Oh, Liam, stop being a pussy and just like stay in a tent with us." And I was like, I don't know. I kind of want to go home, get a good night's sleep, and come back. And I was like, like on you go then. And I came
I remember
back,
thinking you were like such a poser for that.
but it was
You
weird.
came back so
The patter
refreshed.
got
Yeah,
really
it's
bad in that tent, man.
Really. Well, it was weird. I came back
We
and
lasted
no
4
one was
hours.
there.
Bad.
I was like,
Yeah. That was the hole in the ground patter era. That's how bored we got.
Yeah, we'll not talk about the hole in the ground.
No, that's not getting...
But young
the only
men
other
will be
cool
young
thing
men.
about this... the only other cool thing about this part of the
what happened in that
album,
tent?
I think, as well, is Void.
Not much, we were only in it for about an hour. Carry on, Jack.
Yeah. No, Void's a banger. I really like Void. It's one of my favourite tunes on this album, probably.
Yeah.
And that's one that I've started playing live quite a lot again. And that was in the previous video we were talking about humanity that never got made into anything, but only me and Billy sort of slightly recall it. And that's what eventually became Void. We sort of brought back the majority of that and made it into an actual song.
Right, so pop quiz before we listen to Existence. What film inspired the Existence lyrics? Oliver's got his hand up.
It's The Island.
The Island.
The Island
with
starring
McGregor.
Ewan McGregor and
It is.
Scarlett Johansson.
It is, man.
Fucking yes. Fucking yes.
Top film, that one. Very, very underrated in my opinion. Everyone seems to think it fucking sucks.
I've not seen it.
back
It doesn't
in
look
quite
great.
I quite enjoyed it.
I mean, it's a bit naff, but it's also fucking minted. Yeah, so, but 2013, Billy watched that and thought, there's a song in there for sure, man. So, if you are really bored this lockdown, chuck on Existence, get the lyrics up, and then chuck on The Island, starring Ewan McGregor, and see if you can put the pieces together.
This was when you were big into like watching movies and writing songs about cool metal scenes, because 3 of the 4 songs we're about to review are all about certain movies.
Yes, back when I didn't like writing about anything personal and liked to take my inspiration from other things that were kind of already formulated ideas, which is pretty much the complete opposite of how I like writing lyrics now.
Because what's Void? Void's Diamonds Aren't Forever?
Diamonds aren't forever.
Or something? Diamonds Are Forever!
It's not actually that film either, it's Die Another Day.
Oh shit, I don't know anything about James Bond.
Yeah, so, Into the Water.
And of the 3 films, 2 of them are Bond films, eh?
Yeah, Into the Water is about the scene in The License to Kill when Felix gets fed to the sharks. Really good, really good scene. Pretty metal. And the Void concept is kind of revolves around how the guy in Die Another Day gets some DNA therapy done to change his exterior.
Oh, that was so weird. What a weird film that was.
Truly bizarre film. But nonetheless, we're 14 minutes into the video. It's time we listen to Existence. Let's go. The highlight of my bass career coming in here. There it is. You know, I never do that bit live anymore.
You don't, do you? It's just a...
Just can't be asked putting my hand in the position where it needs to be, man. It just sounds tighter live without it. I think this is the catchiest song, the second catchiest song on the whole album after Into the Water. A lot of kind of metalcore vibes in this song, actually.
In this whole album, to be honest, there's lots
The
of
notes
metalcore
used in this are very metalcore-y.
I always thought it was like metalcore, but with a big melodic death metal kind of vibe. But when you say melodic death metal, it's basically metalcore as well, when you think about it.
Well, we call it thrash, so...
I really like this bit.
Yeah. I mean, the whole middle section is just a big breakdown. It hits well live, that bit. Good vocals there.
Is this you?
Pretty melodic, actually. Yeah.
Fucking love that fill though.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
good.
That little melody section has always ranked very highly for me. I've always liked that a lot. Big solo coming up. Is this you, Jack?
Yeah.
It
I
was
stole
listening
the
to
little-
the multi-track stems of this today. I realised that I've been playing the rhythm wrong this whole time.
Ah, yeah. This bit is a stole from the Trooper. That it's just the Trooper.
Oh really? I would never have guessed.
Bit in the Trooper solo that's just that.
I remember when
was-
we first put all the backing vocals on this last bit, we were like,
Yeah, totally.
is that Please Help Me, man?
The Please Help Me is stolen from Thrash's Regime. What song is that? There's a song on their first album, Fearful Symmetry, where it's Please Save Me in the exact same rhythm. Please save me. Can't remember what song it's on. It might be The Last Hunt, but I was listening to that album loads at the time and completely stole that because that was like my favourite bit of the song. And I was like, fuck it, please help me. Please help me from death, which I'm sure grammatically doesn't make sense.
That sounds cool though. Yeah.
That's a great
I
song.
mind I used
Yeah.
to do the little leads on the start and the end of that. But then everyone was like, it
I've not
sounds
listened
shite,
to
you
that
can't
for-
tap. I'm pretty sure it was one of those ones
We would
when
never
we
have
were
said
in the
that, bro.
studio. Nah, you definitely did. It was when we were in the studio and I tried to record that bit so many times and then Andy picked up the guitar and did it tapping and you were like, let's just move the fuck on with this.
It was nothing personal, bro. But yeah, I've always really.
Oh no, I'm
liked
glad I
Existence a
don't do
lot.
it now.
I mind
think
when
it's,
Jamie Plomer, mind when he covered for Andy that one gig, or
Yeah.
2 gigs actually. But I mind the snare bit before the solo, like, that was always his favourite bit. Like every time
Yeah.
we practiced that, he would just look at me with the biggest grin on his face.
Yeah. I think Existence is. It's pretty short and sweet, and like, I really wouldn't change anything about it, to be honest. I think I think it's just a cracking little song, as you said. I like it a lot. Ewan Henderson's favourite. He's always
that
asking
true?
for Existence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it not Scar My Eyes? Or is it...
I would have put him down as a
I
Star
think
My
it's
Eyes
between
guy,
those
but-
two.
I think
But,
he's a Scar My Eyes guy too.
He's a big Existence fan.
I think, yeah, he's always asking us to play it. Maybe he's more verbal about that because we play it less in Scar My Eyes, so we would have to be more verbal about it. But yeah, Existence. I think it was quite obvious at the time that it was going to be the album opener.
Aye.
Because we always kind of dug it. It's kind of, I think after Into the Water and Scar My Eyes, it's like the quintessential fan favourite.
Mm-hmm.
Although maybe some of the Suffocator ones are creeping in and taking some of those places, but definitely up until 2018, 2019, the Existence was probably third in the bronze medal position for the quintessential Disposable live songs after Scar My Eyes and Into the Water. Track 2 is J in its final form, although remix may be coming soon, might not be its final form, but
it's not even called
in its
J.
2014 final form, Addiction. Let's give it a listen.
Addiction to J.
I think one thing
Jack,
that will be noticeable about this version of Jay is that the vocals are such a jump up on here.
Yeah. I remember at the time not being massively confident in my vocals at this time, but upon listening back to it, and especially the raw recording files, I was doing a lot of cool stuff.
I think this is one that we'd played live a lot as well, and we'd done like the life bit and stuff, which we weren't going to include on the album, and then we were like, let's do it. Me and you got really excited about layering up the vocals on this one as well, and backing vocals.
I think Sorry?
Sorry, Liam, on you go.
I was just trying to say, I think this is the first time we actually included backing vocals and like gang vocals in that.
Yeah.
On record.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think as well, like because we had played this one a lot, especially live as well, when it came round to recording the album, we knew it really, really well. So I feel like the performances on this track especially are like really, really dialed in, like years worth dialed in.
Yeah.
Always liked that bit a lot.
One of my favourite bits to play live.
These were the first ever backing vocals, False Glint and Is This.
Yeah, Is This.
Yeah, the only backing vocals in the song that I remember.
Super young but angsty sounding vocals.
This was around that time when we started doing trying to make the Your Life as long as possible and the Your Strength.
Yeah.
We'd like
And now it's
compete to
just
keep
a
it going.
disgrace.
Those vocals.
They're reg.
Super unhinged, man.
That's
Mate,
still
I
one
don't
of my
even
favourite
hate
wee
the
like.
mix of this album.
What were you saying, Oz?
I don't even hate the mix of this album at all.
I don't hate the mix. I don't want it to be put out there that I hate the mix. I feel like the mix is a little muddy.
I think it's like fine if you're listening to like one song, but it gets a wee bit like tiresome after a while. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think this mix works really well for the mid-tempo and chunky bits
Yeah.
and the melodic bits. It's the fast bits, which there are a lot of on this album, where it becomes muddy. So I don't think the mix works really well as like put all the pure
totally.
thrashy bits. But it sounds great for the chunky bits for sure. Which interestingly for a thrash band is kind of like where our priorities lied. You know, it's like as long as the chunky bits sound mega chunky. I don't know, I felt like that was where we always prioritised that over the fast bit sounding good. It was always like, well, it's just the fast bit, man. Get used to it.
We're going to be doing lots more of these. What's the ish? Hey.
Snare does sound weird on this album though.
I mean, the drums in general sound pretty weird.
I mind though, like, so when we recorded in 2011, there was a snare drum at the studio, and it was total like, oh, it sounds great, just put this on, like, trust me, it's fine. And it did sound really good. And when we came back, the same snare was there, with the same head on it, and it was just like proper dented to fuck, and like just total. It just looked
3 years later.
Yeah, it just looked like a shitty bit of plastic. And then it was like, alright, we'll just run this on. And I was like, I think that you should probably change the head on that. And he was like, nah, trust me, man. Honestly, it sounds amazing. I'm like, alright, cool. Put it on.
I think it was before we kind of grew large enough testicles to kind of believe that we might know what we want better than this, person whose job it is. And I understand that you've got to give and take in those situations and take advice from whoever's producing it. But
I mean, like, the sample replacement in this is so obvious. Like, if you took away the kick and snare samples, then I doubt you would be able to hear any of the kick and the snare.
yeah.
I mean, who knows, man? I didn't mix it. I didn't mix the damn thing, so who knows? But
I think it's quite
it
obviously
sounds-
sampled.
yeah, it sounds very heavily sampled. So I
You hear it quite a lot in the fill at the start of Void.
Yeah, totally.
You stole this fill, didn't you, Liam, from a YouTube video?
I did.
Is that right?
I did, yes. It was like one of those Drumeo things, like, top 10 metal drum fills. And I just went, number 6 will do. And then slapped it on.
I was like,
honestly
I'm
remember
in a metal band. I should probably use these.
about 5 years later, or should I say last year or something, you told me this story about how you'd stolen the fill, and I kind of took it. I didn't take it at face value. I was like, oh yeah, Liam stole this fill, but I'm sure he'd done a little something to it, and Liamified it. He just stole the general idea. Then you linked me the video, and you just straight up stole the fill. It is exactly the fill that this guy demonstrates in this video. Good fill. I mean,
Yeah.
you hadn't told me, I would never have noticed. Who is Phil? But let's listen to Void.
Void, what was
Void.
Void was Cockhammer, right?
Void. It was the working title was Cockhammer. Yeah.
All of this album have really good bad working titles.
Yeah, we called it Cockhammer for a
For
long
ages.
time. Actually.
Yeah.
A lot of these songs didn't actually have titles when we recorded them in the studio. And also,
there's no
the
change.
raw recording files of J or Addiction were called Into Death when I found them. So I think at some point that's a song title idea we had for that, and eventually decided on Addiction. So let's listen to Void. Void's probably one of my favourite Disposable songs. Top
Void's
5
so
for me,
good.
for sure.
I remember when Jack and Andy did like a guitar playthrough of Void, and I was like, oh, it's the boys, fuck yes. Getting to see what you guys actually played, because when I saw you guys live, it just looked like this at the time. It just looked like this to me, or that, and it was like sick. They're playing some stuff. I can see it now. That was also a weird video because Andy just kind of stares at the camera really like antagonizingly. Like, it's so strange. Like, Jack's like there just like concentrating, and Andy's just like not even looking at the guitar, just looking really like at the whole video. It's so off-putting. It's really weird.
Andy, sociopathic vibes? No.
Nice. Anyway, Void.
Let's listen to Void.
To this day,
Void it up.
like, one of the most difficult songs to play live in our set.
I think it's
And we-
pretty tricky.
And we shall hear why right now.
I mean, it's not like it's super technical.
This
but
one's
like,
super easy.
I think it's definitely tricky.
It's really easy for me. I don't have to play any of the rhythm parts. Like, there's so many leads that I've got in this that are quite melodic and chill. So everyone talks about this being a
yeah.
really hard song, and I'm like, nah.
I mean,
it's not like it's really hard, but
It's just an endurance test for
yeah.
me. I think it's an endurance test for pretty much. It's an endurance test for Tucker because he's got all the double kicks, and it's an endurance test for me because I literally just don't stop doing that, only to go to then immediately go and then back and forth. It's fun.
It used to be an endurance test for me when I would play this song right, but over the years I've kind of developed a simplified bass line to it, which is generally what I do. Let's listen to Void. So this was a Humanity intro, right? Nice blast beats from Tucker. I always liked this bit. I always liked the lead guitar sound actually from that bit.
Oh, nice bass fill, Billy.
Yeah, I actually like played the slightly tricky thing that the guitars were doing instead of doing nothing instead. Back when I actually kind of wanted to prove myself as a bass player. If that was written today, I'd 100% just be punching the open note with the cymbal there. 100 million%. It was always satisfying to me that the intro was exactly 1 minute long.
Yeah.
Like honestly, when that first vocal hits, it's 1 minute, 1 second.
I think this is like the best chorus on the album.
Is this not the only chorus on the album?
It's still probably one of the best choruses you've ever done.
I remember we were really proud of it at the time, and I think it's cool because it's the same as the melody.
Yeah.
For some reason, it always gave me gothic vibes. I don't know why. Maybe think of like Castlevania or something like that.
I always thought of this song as sounding a bit different to all the other tracks on the album. Like, I'm not sure. It had a unique sound to it compared to the other stuff. Because I feel like the back end of the album is the same song 4 times, and then, you know, yeah.
This is pretty like, it's pretty heavy, pretty evil, but it's got a lot of groove and melody in it as well.
Yeah.
And the breakdowns are sick.
Definitely one of the groovier tracks.
I think we liked it because it had a breakdown and then a melody and then a breakier, downier breakdown.
A breakier down.
I've always really liked the
Almost like
melodies
this
in this, like they're really fun to play.
I want to write stuff a bit more like this, you know, like those kind of middle sections from Nice Film.
Yeah, I did like that. That one
I like
wasn't
how it's
so.
got a little cymbal thing in the middle of it. Pretty cool. Yeah, as I was saying, I might try and write some more stuff with the kind of melody-based middle section like Existence and Void. Again, not really done that for a while. I always really liked this bit. This is the tricky bit.
This is solid.
This is the bit I absolutely despise.
This is the kicks.
It's the bit that definitely fucks me up. Because like after this bit, I don't even get a rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone else stops here apart from you and Tucker. And me and Jack are like, oh, it's no wonder we like this song a lot. You two are just dying.
This is still one of my favourite solos of all of them. It took me ages to track it. It's that little
Little harmony on the
This
solo.
always fucks me up still.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I remember writing that on Guitar Pro and never being able to actually play it. I had to pretend like I could play it so that like when you were struggling to learn it, I was like, come on bro.
You tabbed it really
Yeah.
weird though. I had
You
to
can do
change
this.
it where I played it. This riff's one of my faves of all time as well.
It's so good.
I love that.
Ah, yeah.
Very cool.
Good tune.
I think
Yeah,
Void is
Void's a
definitely
fucking good one.
yeah, definitely one of the techier songs.
No,
I suppose
definitely.
it is and it isn't. Like it's techier, but only you're not doing like anything particularly like technical. It's just like it's just an endurance test, and it's very difficult to try and get everything really tight with each other because it's basically we're all matching the guitars are trying to match the double kick as much as possible.
It's definitely for a song that is essentially pretty fast for most of it. It's definitely a lot more groove laden than like your
there's a lot of
Disposable and Leave This Places.
There's a lot of kind of halftime sections in it and that.
I think that was one of the first ones that we wrote.
Yeah, it's cool.
Oh no, I suppose Water was before that. But anyway, like it was for what we were writing at the time. It definitely felt a lot techier and a lot. I remember that last riff as well. Which is hands down one of my favorites. Still, we used to just refer to that as the groove riff.
That took me far too long to learn when I learned it.
It's the groove riff.
I remember trying to learn it.
Because we didn't have any other groove back
So
then.
Jack, do you remember?
What's going on there?
The groove riff. Do you remember what order the 4 new tracks were written for this?
It was
thing?
Existence,
was
and
first.
then Into the Water.
Did Into the Water come?
And then Void.
Then
And
this,
Mag
and then
210 Cab.
Mag 210 Cab at the foot of the world.
Yeah, that was
I remember
definitely
when I
like the
wrote
last one that was written.
That was really soon before we recorded, because I remember we were all shitting it because it was like we don't really.
Into
know
the
this
Water
one.
was.
such a specific memory.
No, on
What
you
were you
go, on
saying,
you go.
I've got like such a specific memory coming off a plane from like a holiday in Tenerife with the family, then like switching on the phone, and then just like supposed to be like an MSN message from William, and it was just mag 210 cab dot just rpro5 or like whatever. Okay, we're sorted, we're good. We can
Yeah, because I
record
remember
this
it was kind of like, oh, we need another song to make this an album, I guess. So I felt under pressure to write that one.
That's one of the
pretty
ones.
quick. It turned out pretty cool. It just happened to be hard to play as well, and it was kind of like, oh fuck, we don't
Just
have much
after
time to
Andy
prepare
had
this one.
bought the cab, hence the Mag 210 Cab. But that's another one. I'm pretty sure we wrote pretty much all of that at that Leith Flat A.
Yeah, I think that
was
a
like
kind of
me,
group
you, and
session
Andy sitting
writing.
together with Guitar Pro and a couple of guitars and actually writing something collaboratively.
Mm,
Yeah, fucking
sure.
Into the Water, man. The Red Man.
Yeah,
Le
so
Homme
let's not
Rouge.
listen to.
Yeah, the Red Man for some reason. I don't know. I cannot remember why it was
It
ever
was
called the Red
something to
Man.
do with the Red Man
Uh,
from like traffic lights and that. And there was
Oh, it was
there was
definitely to
some
do with
pattern.
that guy. Yeah,
where the Red Man was like,
unless you know
ominous.
another Red Man.
and then it was Le Homme Rouge for a long time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff.
So Into the Water, definitely until Scar My Eyes came along, the quintessential Disposable track. You know, the one that we chose for up until Life Misguided to promote the most, for sure.
I remember watching the music video for it and being like, "Isn't that a Death Clock song? Is it? That's a. I think that's a Death Clock song." And then hearing it and being like, "Okay, yeah, it's a cool song, yeah." And then immediately googling whether it was a Death Clock song or not, and being like, "Oh,
Go Into the
kind
Water.
of."
I feel like I don't think I really knew Death Clock that well at that
Live
point,
there.
so I never kind of clocked that. Oh, that's already a title. I was like, yes, this is original.
I think at the time I was like just coming out of a big Death Clock phase. And just being like, just getting massively triggered by just being like, oh my god, Death Clock, I forgot about that. I forgot about that time of my life.
So Jack, you wrote the first bit of Into
I think
the
this is
Water
the
to
first
ever exist.
thing.
I think I kind of
That
wrote
one
the
riff
whole
was the
song.
first thing I ever wrote, and then the last thing I wrote for many a year. It was like my legacy for like a good 5 years.
You inspired a song that we
Aye.
thought was fucking brilliant.
Hey man,
Remember when it
anyone
was
a high?
sick? When it was.
Let's give it a listen. Oh my god, keep going before. Sorry.
I was just
Tell
gonna
me a
say
story
because
before
it's
I
about
press play.
sharks. It was pretty cool, and we used to like, you know. That was a pretty big thing. You know? We were heavy into sharks when this song came
I'm
out.
gonna press play now. It is about sharks, man. See, I think that this album mix works best for this song.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, this is like the song where I start to realise how weird the mix is.
Really.
See, I think
Well,
it
it's
works
like what
best
you were
for
saying
this track.
before about the chunky bits really benefiting from this mix. Like, this is one of the slower, chunkier songs, I guess. And it was like, we got this, you know, this was the song that we were like, giving them all the...
So this is the Jack riff.
Except my version just went like
This
this
is the
for
riff you
like
sent me.
32 bars.
Yeah, so this was the intro
Yeah.
to your song, wasn't it? Bit of spook for
Very
the
ominous.
boys.
Oh, aye. Where did these spooky boys come from?
I love this bit though.
I like this bit where the melody kind of changes as it leads into the solo. I used to always, well, still do love the transition into the solo because the melody just becomes a solo.
Who's playing
That's
this
Andy.
again? Is it Jack?
This is an Andy solo. Any solo that's mainly tapping was always Andy. The big tapper, man.
This bit, still one of my faves. It's those little ride cymbals, Liam.
Always been a big fan.
Hello, Chris Adler here. How's it going?
Bit of bass
Praise
guitar.
that.
Never do that fill anymore either. There's a lot of sick stuff I used to do
Yeah, no.
that I just don't do anymore. Maybe I
Fun
should
fact about the
rediscover
solo
myself.
coming up,
See, I can't hear
I
it.
couldn't bend back then. So the whole solo's me except the first bend, Andy just went because I couldn't bend it.
Really, that's
Because
There's a bit of trivia for you.
I did the whole take and it was gnarly, but the bend just kept sounding shit. And he was like, "There's no feel." And then he just grabbed the guitar and went, "Meh." That was it.
yeah. You were a very rigid player back then. Super gnarly rhythm tracks, and then like trying to apply your super tight rhythm
Yeah.
style to solos. And it worked for some of them.
Like,
but
it
this
works
one
for
was a bit more
Void,
of, like,
'cause
a
that's
full
really,
solo, I
like-
guess.
You know?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah.
It's like the rhythm of the solo itself needed to be in step with the kick drum in Void, so it kind of works.
That bass slide out. Meow.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, totally forgot that existed. Yeah, I'm discovering a lot
You
of
should
cool
become a
bass things that I
bassist,
don't-
man.
on this that I don't do live and haven't done live for years.
You should consider picking up the bass.
I think it's more just like unknowingly over time, the parts that I do live have changed. Like I don't often rehearse these songs along to the
I think as
album.
well, like, you started putting
Yeah,
a lot
so-
more emphasis and
Yeah.
importance on your vocal performance. You know? So, like,
Yeah, at
yeah,
some
you'll-
point I
you'll, like-
decided to just patch.
you'll weigh
bass
up and it's like, well, if I can
kind
make
of
the vocal sit,
go
I'll
into
just drop
autumn.
playing that bass part, and then, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like I feel
Put bass in
jamming along
autopilot.
to these songs to the actual tracks very, very weird, because it's like it's just kind of not how we play them. Like we play them with a lot more swing. Like we play them like parts are sped up and slowed down in like the same
that bit
song.
in Void at the end, it kind of happens on the album version, but now the way we play that live is completely different. I think like a lot of these songs we got bored of, so we changed how we played them live, and then now you listen to the album version, you're like, wait, we used to play it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I kind of like that. Just we've started doing that with songs of the SUFFOCATOR as well. And
Totally.
I do like, after the fact, you still sort of remix it live and all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I like
totally.
it, man. Especially if you've got a set where you've played the same songs, or you've played like the same set for maybe like a year.
Mm-hmm.
You're kind of going like, well, we don't have time to learn other songs. How can we make these songs that we already know more interesting?
It's also like subtle changes. Like one person will do one thing, and like the other three will go like, "Oh fuck, right, let's."
But it's like that bit at the end of Into the Water. There's like the main riff comes back in, and then Liam comes in with the and it was bad. But I think like on the album version, one guitar went and one guitar kept the riff going, and we kind of cycled around this whole point where eventually all of us would stab it and go dun 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 dun, and it's come like back round full circle to where like since we started playing it with Ollie, now I play that little riffy bit again.
Yeah, it's just accenting things that like, oh, that's quite cool. Let's make that bit that's quite cool way more obvious. And also, I don't think we're that precious with guitar parts either. Like you'll be like, do you want to play that bit? And I'll be like, I don't care. And you'll be like, well, I really like it. Can I play it? It's like, yeah. Or you'll be like, do you want to play this bit? It's like, fuck it, yeah, why not? Don't care.
There's definitely stuff that Andy used to do that now Jack does live, and then you do what Jack done there. So like over time, who's playing?
Not gonna lie, pretty much all of what Andy used to do, Jack's just
it depends. Like
over.
You say
partly because he wanted to, and partly because I'm
we're
lazy
not that
as fuck.
precious with guitar parts.
You do the Into the Water solo.
You're not. I am. So it's kind of like there's certain parts where I'm like, because I know you're really good at just sort of shredding it out and feeling it out, and and for a lot of the solos on At the Foot, you've just kind of made them your own and done your own thing. But then there's a few where I'm like, nah, it has to be how it was. So out of pure spite, I'll just learn it and then be like, that's mine now.
And it's like, and you'll be like, oh, I learnt it so I can do it correct. And I was just like, huh? Yeah, okay. Great. You don't have to fucking learn that. That's another thing I don't have to do.
You still do the Into the Water solo though, and I like that. And you do the first bar and the last bar just to kind of bookend yourself. And in the middle, you're just like shredding mad, and then at the end you go, and everyone's like,
it just
okay.
feels right.
Yeah.
It just feels right, and also it's a good. I don't know. I can't think of how to come out of solos very well apart from a sick bend. Like it's like, oh, how do we come out of this solo? Another sick bend, I guess. It's like, there's this part that's integral to the song that you could just fucking do instead. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just do that. Also, it gives everybody a nice cue for everybody to come back in.
It's just a cue for us that you're sort of still with us and haven't like completely got lost in the world of shred. It's like, okay, he's still here and he is coming into this section with us.
Oh, I don't even like going into the world of shred. It's a path that I know very well, and it's just kind
it's
of
one of those
like,
interesting
here we are
things
again.
where
That's
like
cool.
I'm not very good
Nice,
at shreddy stuff. I can learn solos if play them over and over and over again and get told what to do, or like a guitar pro, but like guitarists, and I would love to be able to shred. The world of shred sounds minted, but you and Andy are so similar in the sense that you're both amazing at shredding, and you're both like, I really can't be fucked with this. Shredding is shit. Fuck, I don't want to play a solo.
It's like once you've been to the world of shred a good few too many times, you realise that it's really not all that. Like the people are the same, the vibes are the same. It's just really noisy and crap. And
It's always created a bit of a thing for me and Liam, where like the person we want to shred is the better shredder, but the better shredder doesn't want to do the solo. So it's all, me and Liam have always had to like step in and be like, whoever's better at playing that solo should play that solo so that things are better. Which like Jack isn't the strongest lead guitar player, but you really want to play the solos, and all of us quite. I don't care about playing the solos. Let Jack do it. But it's like me and Liam always come from that like kind of logical point of like, but you're like a technically better lead guitar player, so why should
There's
you not do
definitely times where like Jack gets the solo that I would kind of want, but because fucking I spent like all that time in high school learning how to fucking sweep pick or whatever, I get relegated for the shreddy nonsense where I would really
I think
just
that's
like
one of the
the
things though.
bluesy
It's
chill
been kind
one.
of beneficial to me because
okay.
I know that you guys are like, if you get like Scar My Eyes, I couldn't play the solo very well for a long time, and there was a point when you didn't want me to play it because I was playing it shit. You were like, Oliver should play that solo because he can shred. And then again, I kind of like then just got my head down and played it hundreds of times until I could play it good. So it kind of works for me because then I'm like, right, the boys want it good. I'm gonna have to play it good now. Yeah, the
You
only
kinda
bit
rip
is the
that
sweet
solo
picky
now,
bit.
to be
I
fair.
don't really feel comfortable.
Oh,
with.
yeah, you nail it every time.
And I practice that every single day, but it's still shit.
The thing is, like, as well, like you're a very by the tab player. You're like, I want to play that solo like that. Whereas if Oliver had learned that and it got to a bit that was like uncomfortable for him, he
Yeah.
probably would have just came up with his own thing to put there. Whereas like because you're so dedicated to like doing things the way that they were recorded, like
You've got a proper like mentality over it. Like it has to be exactly how I love it
Yeah.
and envisage it being in my head. Like you get so attached to stuff to the point where you can't distance yourself from it. And you're just like,
Exactly.
I want to recreate this thing. Whereas I don't want to fucking I don't want to recreate anything. It's like, well, it's been done. Why the fuck would I do that again? So
I feel like if
That's
you played one solo like 100 times, you would have 100 completely different solos.
yeah, pretty much. That's kind of
Yeah.
how it goes.
But
Anyway.
yeah, so that was the first 4 tracks of At the Foot of the World. Personally, my favourite side of the album. I think the second half of the album is when it goes into like just speed. Apart from Acoustic J or Addiction Reprise or whatever you want to call it, which is a weird little thing that I'm not sure really has the. I don't know.
I
doesn't speak as
disagree
much as
actually.
we
I
perhaps
was
thought
I
it
was playing
gonna
through
speak.
stuff earlier
It's
and I
kinda
played
just like,
Acoustic J and I
what?
was like, this is actually really quite mint.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, I
You get
have not
surpri-
listened to
for,
it for
what
very,
we were trying
very,
to do,
very many years.
and like,
It
was pretty
surprises
good.
you.
But we'll listen to it soon.
It's pretty sick, man.
We will, and we'll be back next time with the second half of the album, and the tracks that we'll be covering on that side are At the Foot of the World, the title track, Leave This Place and Disposable, the 2014 versions, Addiction Reprise, which is like the acoustic-y little version of Addiction, and then Now It Ends from the 2009 demo. So this is basically kind of stuff that already existed, plus the title track of the album. So we'll see how it goes, and we're going to call it a day there because we're nearly an hour. Holy shit. Thanks for joining once again. Hope you're enjoying listening to these, for those of you that are listening to these. And we'll see you next time for the second half of At the Foot of the World.